One rapper came from a nice-ass two-story home, then went on to unalive 8 people to prove his street rep, to another rapper that was waking up in a fat-ass crib and inside a gated community just to hang around YNs and feel like a gangster. We got goofies out here really pulling the biggest finesse in hip-hop history. These shorties been selling y'all fake struggle stories while counting daddy's money in gated communities, and shit, one rapper's own hood exposed him on social media. Another got called out by his ops for hiding his white father. And one dude literally commuted from his mansion to the hood every day just to play gangster, then went home to his pool at night. But here's the crazy part, fam. Some of these created players took it so far, they actually started catching real charges and throwing away generational wealth just to prove they was bout that life. We talking about YNs who had everything but still chose to crash out, and the consequences been wild as hell. I'm about to expose the top 10 rappers who've been fronting their whole image. And trust me, gang, the #1 spot is gonna blow your mind. This shorty really perfected the art of fake gangster behavior in the most goofy way possible. Make sure you stay till the end, cause that final reveal is some next level goofy that's gonna change how you look at these so-called street rappers forever. Lil Mabu. Coming in at number 10. We got Matthew Peter, better known as Lil Mabu and Shorty. This dude really takes the cake when it comes to buying your way into street credibility, no cap.
Matthew DeLuca, I go to the collegiate school. I'm in 9th grade, and my favorite thing about Kids Walk for MSK Kids is getting together with friends and family to support such a wonderful cause.
Let me paint the picture for you, fam. While real drill rappers in New York was grinding in the projects, dodging bullets and trying to make it out, Lil Mabu was chilling in his daddy's mansion getting ready for his $60,000 a year private school.
I'm going to college, and they looked at me like I was crazy. They like, Mabu, like, do you understand? Like, you're not a regular kid. You need to devote all your time to your career. You want to take the music seriously. Bro, I was like, you, watch this. And I worked so hard to get into the high school I was at, then applying out and getting into college, and I managed to do all of it while doing the music thing. So why would I pass this opportunity up now? For what?
You guys seem to forget I go to college, so today I'm gonna show you how I've been utilizing my campus resources.
Yeah, you heard that right. $60,000 just for school, gang. That's more money than most families see in a whole year. And this YN was spending it on education while claiming he's bout that life. His pops ain't just regular rich either. Homie's daddy is the CEO of a funeral home service and got $12 million worth of properties. So while Mabu's rapping about being in the trenches, his family literally owns enough real estate to buy half the block he's pretending to be from. That's some backwards type shit right there. But here's where it gets really strange. Instead of using all that privilege to do something positive, Mabu decided he wanted to be a drill rapper. Problem is, you can't just wake up one day and decide to be street. That credibility gotta be earned through real struggle and pain. So what does this creative player do? He starts paying actual gangsters to be in his music videos. Think about that for a second, fam. Real YNs who actually lived that life, who actually lost friends and family to the streets, getting paid by some rich kid to make him look authentic. That's like hiring actors to play your family at a reunion. It's fake as hell and everybody can see through it. It gets worse though. Mabu wasn't just paying random dudes to stand around looking tough. He was paying real drill rappers for features, basically buying his way onto tracks with artists who actually earned their stripes. These rappers probably needed the money, so they took the check. But deep down, they had to know they was helping this dude front his whole image.
Lacking?
Lacking? What you mean, bro?
Like, oh, you know where you at right now? Like, bro, I really take everything off you, bro. Like,
I'm outside Dolly. You know Mabu's body, bro.
Yo, Mabu, like, what you got on you? Like, oh, he got the now.
The streets started noticing real quick that something wasn't adding up. Here's this YC talking about sliding on ops and being bout that action, but he's showing up to interviews in designer clothes that cost more than most people's rent. His whole vibe was off. You could tell he never really been through nothing serious. And the crazy part? Mabu actually made New York drill corny for a minute. Real drill music comes from pain, from struggle, from YNs who ain't got no choice but to rap about their reality cause that's all they know. But when you got rich kids buying their way into the scene, it waters down the whole culture and makes it look like a game. The final nail in the coffin? While he's out here rapping about street life, Shorty's actually studying business at one of the top 25 universities in the country. So during the day, he's in class learning about economics and marketing. Then at night, he's pretending to be a gangster on Instagram. That's some real split personality type shit, no cap. What really gets me is how he thought nobody would find out. In the age of social media and background checks, you really thought you could hide a whole privileged upbringing. The internet don't forget, and the streets definitely don't forgive when you try to play them for fools.
I just wanted to get on here and open up about my life the last couple months. As soon as I went to prom and I graduated high school, I finally had a moment to reflect on my evolution as an artist and my personal life and the sacrifices I've made to get to this point at a young age. And you know, I was fresh out of high school with a song on Billboard, artists I look up to start becoming my friends, gaining notoriety. Cool, but at what cost? I wasn't spending time with my family. I neglected meaningful friendships. I lost valuable moments of my childhood that I can't get back.
Lil Mabu represents everything wrong with fake gangster rap, using money and privilege to cosplay as something you never was, taking opportunities away from real artists who actually lived that struggle, and making the whole culture look like a joke. That's why he earned his spot on this list, fam. Hound Q50. At number 9, we got Hound Q50, real name McQuall Cooper. And this YN really got exposed in the most embarrassing way possible, by his own people. Picture this, you're trying to build this whole image as a street dude, talking about how you came up rough and had to survive in the trenches and up 8 fucking hats. Then your neighbor from across the street hops on social media and shows everybody the exact house you grew up in, complete with the nice lawn and suburban vibes. That's exactly what happened to Q50, and homie, that had to hurt his soul. This shorty grew up in Merrillville, Indiana. And for those who don't know, that ain't exactly known for being a rough area, fam. We talking about a nice neighborhood where kids ride bikes on sidewalks and the biggest problem is somebody not cutting their grass. But Q50 wanted to be seen as this tough guy who came from nothing. His neighbor really did him dirty though, no cap. She went online and said she grew up right across the street from him, then showed pictures of his actual house. Imagine trying to convince people you from the struggle, then somebody who watched you get dropped off at the school bus every morning calls you out publicly. That's some real caught in 4K type shit right there. The funny part is Q50 used to brag about having all the latest shoes growing up and getting everything he wanted. So even in his own stories, he's accidentally telling people he was privileged, but somehow still trying to maintain this street image that don't make no sense, playa. You can't have it both ways. But here's where the story gets interesting, gang. Q50's grandmother was living in Chicago, and he would go stay with her from time to time. That's how he got close with his cousin Lil Jeff, who was actually about that life. So Q50 got a little taste of real street culture through family visits and decided he wanted to make that his whole identity. The problem is, visiting the hood on weekends don't make you from the hood, fam. You can't just borrow somebody else's struggle and claim it as your own. That's like going to Paris for vacation and coming back talking with a French accent. Everybody knows you fronting. Q50's whole transformation really started when he didn't make the varsity basketball team in high school. And get this, it wasn't cause he wasn't good enough skill-wise. It was cause Shorty was only 5 feet 3 inches. So instead of finding another path or working harder, he decided to give up on his hoop dreams and choose the streets instead. That's some real backwards logic right there. No cap. Most YNs in the actual streets is trying to use basketball or music to get out of that life, but Q50 chose to go the opposite direction. He had opportunities, had a safe environment, had family support, but threw it all away to play gangster. The streets in Chicago probably looked at him sideways too, because they could tell he wasn't really built for that life. Real recognize real and fake recognize fake. And Q50 was definitely giving off fake energy from day one. What makes this even more goofy is how he tried to maintain the image even after getting exposed. Instead of just admitting he came from a good situation and pivoting to a different type of content, he kept doubling down on the street persona. That's some real stubborn type shit, but not the good kind of stubborn. The whole situation with Q50 shows how social media can be a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it gave him a platform to build his image and connect with fans. On the other hand, it made it impossible to hide his real background when people who actually knew him started speaking up. At the end of the day, Q50 represents that type of rapper who had every advantage in life, but chose to throw it away chasing an image that was never really his to begin with. That's why he earned his spot at number 9, gang. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it always comes out eventually. Gilo Ball. Number 8 on our list is Leangelo Ball, also known as Gilo Ball. And this dude really said, forget basketball, I'm about to pick up a blicky instead, fam. That's some real family disappointment type shit right there, no cap. Let me set the scene for you, gang. The Ball family grew up in Chino Hills, California in a straight-up mansion. We talking about the type of crib that got multiple garages, a pool, and probably a basketball court in the backyard. This ain't no regular suburban house. This is rich people territory, where the biggest problem is deciding which luxury car to drive to the country club. Now, Gilo got 2 brothers, Lonzo and LaMelo, and both of them made it to the NBA and became millionaires. So you got this whole family of basketball talent living in luxury with every opportunity in the world to succeed. But somehow, Gilo became the odd one out, the middle child who couldn't quite make it happen on the court. Here's where it gets interesting though, Playa. Instead of finding his own path or maybe working harder at basketball, Gilo decided he wanted to be a rapper. But not just any kind of rapper. He wanted to be a tough guy rapper, talking about keeping weapons and being bout that action. That's like a kid from Beverly Hills trying to convince people he's from Compton. It just don't add up. The whole transformation really started when Gilo got caught shoplifting at Louis Vuitton in China. Yeah, you heard that right. This YN who grew up with everything decided to steal from a luxury store while traveling internationally. That's some real privileged criminal behavior right there, fam. Most people who shoplift do it cause they need something they can't afford. Gilo did it cause, honestly, nobody knows why he did it. But in his mind, that shoplifting incident became his street origin story.
And we left thinking we'll just get away. You know how kids think. I didn't realize till I got back to my hotel, I'm like, that was stupid, but by then it was too late. And then sure enough, the next morning, the police came and got us. We were in jail for a day and a half or something like that.
What was that like?
Oh, it was horrible. They take your clothes, you wear like whatever they have for your little jumpsuit or whatever, take your shoestrings, and then you just sit in a cement cell for however long. It's just you and then all the officers, and they don't speak English.
Like that one moment of doing something illegal somehow gave him credibility to rap about being a gangster. That's some real creative player logic. One petty crime don't make you Al Capone, shorty. What makes Gilo even more goofy is how he talks about keeping it on him at all times and being this tough guy. Homie, you grew up in a gated community where the security guards know your name and your biggest worry was which private school to attend. You ain't never had to worry about real street problems or actual danger. The contrast between him and his brothers is crazy too, gang. Lonzo and LaMelo stayed focused on basketball, worked hard, and made it to the league where they earning millions and building legitimate careers. Meanwhile, Gilo out here trying to convince people he's some kind of street soldier when everybody knows he grew up with a silver spoon. And let's be real about his rap career. It ain't exactly taking off like he probably hoped. When you got no real street credibility and your whole image is based on fronting, it's hard to connect with audiences who can smell the fake from a mile away. Real rap fans want authenticity, not some rich kid playing dress up. The family dynamic gotta be awkward too, no cap. Imagine family dinners where 2 brothers talking about their NBA careers and endorsement deals, while Gilo sitting there trying to explain why he chose to be a fake gangster instead. That's some real uncomfortable conversation right there. What's really wild is that Gilo had every advantage you could ask for: money, connections, a famous last name, and natural athletic ability. But instead of using those blessings to build something positive, he chose to create this whole fake persona that nobody believes anyway. The Ball family name actually opens doors in the entertainment industry too. He could have been a sports commentator, a basketball trainer, a legitimate businessman, or even a different type of rapper who talks about his real experiences. But nah, he wanted to be something he never was and never could be. Gilo Ball represents that type of person who had everything handed to them but still felt like they needed to prove something to the streets. Problem is, the streets don't respect fake energy, and they definitely don't respect people who choose to play gangster when they could have chosen success. That's why he earned his spot at number 8, fam. Sometimes having too many opportunities can make you make the wrong choices, especially when you're trying to be something you ain't. The streets always know the difference between real and fake, and Gilo Ball is definitely in the fake category. Guero Diaz Ki. Coming in at number 7, we got Guero 10K. And this goofy really went from the suburbs straight to life in prison. That's the most goofiest situation on this whole list, not gonna lie. This dude really shows what happens when keeping it fake goes way too far. Let me paint this picture for you, gang. Guero grew up in Houston, Texas in a nice 2-story house with a fat-ass backyard. We talking about the type of setup where you got space to run around, probably a swing set, maybe even a pool. Both his parents was in his life, showing him love and support, giving him everything a kid could want. This was the American dream type situation that most people work their whole lives to achieve. But somehow, this wasn't enough for Guero. He had a safe environment, loving family, and opportunities that kids in the actual hood would kill for, but he still wanted to be in the streets. That's some real backwards thinking right there, playa. The turning point came when he started going to school in the Cypress area and began hanging around gang members. Now, Cypress got some rough spots, but Guero wasn't from those rough spots. He was just visiting them during school hours, then going back to his comfortable suburban house every night. But being around real street dudes gave him a taste of that lifestyle, and instead of appreciating what he had at home, he decided he wanted to be part of that world full time. So what does this creative player do? He starts his own gang called 10K and decides he's gonna be a rapper and a gangster at the same time. Here's where the story gets really dark, gang. Most of the rappers on this list just front about being tough, but Guero actually started doing real criminal activities. His music career was actually taking off too. He was getting some buzz, making some money, building a fan base. He could have rode that wave to success and left the street stuff alone. But nah, this creative player wanted to prove he was really about that life, and that's when everything went completely off the rails, fam. Guero ended up killing an innocent elderly couple because he thought they were his ops' grandparents. Let that sink in for a second. He murdered 2 old people who had nothing to do with nothing, just because he was so deep in his fake gangster fantasy that he couldn't think straight.
Eric Kim, 911, what's the location of your emergency?
I live at Grand Cedars.
How can I help you?
There is a lot of gunfire going on outside.
Okay, how many shots have you heard?
How many shots have we heard? Probably 20.
That's not street behavior. That's psychopath behavior. No cap. Real street dudes got codes and rules. You don't touch innocent people, especially elderly folks who can't defend themselves. But Guero was so caught up in trying to prove himself that he lost all sense of right and wrong. It gets worse though. This dude also slid on his ops music video and shot up both the cameraman and a civilian. Again, these are innocent people who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The cameraman was probably just trying to make some money filming a video, and some random civilian got caught in the crossfire. Now Guero is serving life in prison. And for what? He threw away a good upbringing, loving parents, a nice home, and a promising music career just to play gangster. And in the process, he destroyed multiple families and took innocent lives. That's some real senseless type shit right there. The crazy part is, his parents probably still don't understand how their son went from playing in their backyard to committing murders. They gave him everything they could, tried to raise him right, and he still chose violence over the opportunities they provided. This case shows the most extreme example of what can happen when suburban kids try to force their way into street culture. Most of the time, it's just embarrassing when they get exposed for fronting. But sometimes, like with Guero, it leads to real tragedy and destroyed lives. The Houston streets probably didn't even accept him as real anyway. They could tell he was trying too hard, doing too much, moving reckless instead of smart. Real gangsters move in silence and handle business efficiently. They don't go around shooting up music videos and killing random elderly people. Guero Diaz Ki represents the absolute worst case scenario of fake gangster behavior. He had every advantage in life but chose to throw it all away, chasing an image that was never really his. And now he's gonna spend the rest of his life in a cell, thinking about how different things could have been if he just appreciated what he had. That's why he earned his spot at number 7, gang. This ain't just about fronting anymore. This is about real consequences and real victims. Sometimes the fake gangster act stops being funny and starts being dangerous, and Guero is proof of that. NLE Choppa. Number 6, we got NLE Choppa, real name Bryson Potts. And homie really woke up in a mansion with a pool every day just to go play gangster in South Memphis. That's some next level fronting right there, shorty. No cap. Let me break down this whole situation for you, fam. Choppa grew up in Cordova, which is a suburban area of Memphis. We ain't talking about some regular neighborhood either. This YN had a big house with a swimming pool and both his parents showing him love and support. That's the type of setup that most kids dream about, where your biggest worry is what to watch on Netflix or which video game to play. But for some reason, that good life wasn't enough for Bryson. He wanted to be seen as this tough street dude, so he started making daily trips to South Memphis to hang around with real gangsters and try to absorb their energy. Think about how crazy that sounds, gang. You got a pool in your backyard, but you choosing to spend your time in dangerous neighborhoods just to look cool. The routine was wild too, Playa. Choppa would literally wake up in luxury every morning, probably eat breakfast that his parents made, then drive or get dropped off in South Memphis to hang with YNs who was actually struggling. Then at the end of the day, he'd go back to his comfortable suburban house while his friends had to stay in the hood and deal with real problems. That's some real tourist behavior right there, fam. He was treating the streets like a theme park. Come visit when you want some excitement, then go back to safety when you're ready to relax. But real street life ain't something you can just dip in and out of when it's convenient. The crazy part is Choppa started carrying weapons, blur, and getting into that lifestyle for real. So now you got this privileged kid with everything to lose, walking around with guns trying to prove he's about that action. That's some backwards logic. Most people in the streets is trying to get out of that situation, but he was trying to get deeper into it. His drill music started taking off though, and that's when the problems really began. Choppa was rapping about sliding on ops and being in shootouts, but people who knew his real background started questioning his credibility. The streets always know who's real and who's fake, and they wasn't buying his tough guy image. When he got exposed as a creative player, his response made him look even more goofy, no cap. Instead of just admitting he came from a good situation and maybe switching up his content, he doubled down on the street persona. That's like getting caught lying and then telling an even bigger lie to cover up the first one. The Memphis streets probably looked at him sideways from day one anyway. Real recognized real, and they could tell Choppa was trying too hard to fit in. When you actually from that life, you don't gotta prove nothing to nobody. Your actions speak for themselves. But when you fake, you gotta constantly do extra stuff to convince people you belong. What makes this even more frustrating is that Choppa actually had talent as a rapper. His energy was crazy, his flow was decent, and he knew how to make catchy songs. He could have built a successful career just being himself and talking about his real experiences, but he felt like he needed that street credibility to be taken seriously. The family situation gotta be stressful too, gang. Imagine being his parents, watching your son throw away all the opportunities you worked hard to provide, just so he can pretend to be something he's not. They probably spent years trying to keep him safe and give him a better life, only to watch him voluntarily put himself in danger. And let's be real about the impact on his career. Once people know you fake, it's hard to come back from that. Fans want authenticity, especially in rap music. When you get exposed for fronting, it makes everything you say sound questionable, even if some of it might be true. The whole NLE Choppa situation shows how social media and the internet can expose fake behavior real quick. In the old days, you might have been able to get away with creating a false image, but now everything gets fact-checked and verified by people who actually know you. Choppa represents that type of artist who had all the tools to succeed legitimately, but chose to build his career on a foundation of lies instead. That's why he earned his spot at number 6, fam. When you got a pool in your backyard, but you still trying to convince people you from the trenches, that's some real creative player behavior right there. Mafiski. Number 5 on our list is Mafiski. And this dude really started a gang in the country club hills, then tried to play word games when it was time to stand on business. That's some real goofy timing right there, no cap. Let me set this up for you, gang. Mafiski originally from an area called Larry Land, but his mother moved him to Country Club Hills during his early teens to give him a better life. Now, Country Club Hills is exactly what it sounds like. A nice suburban area where people play golf, and the biggest drama is somebody's lawn being too long. This ain't the type of place where you need to worry about real street problems. But Mafiski's mama moving him there to keep him safe wasn't enough for this YN. Even though he was living in a better environment with more opportunities, he still wanted to gangbang and bring that hood mentality to the suburbs. That's some real backwards thinking, fam. Most parents sacrifice everything to get their kids out of dangerous situations, but Mafiski wanted to create danger where there wasn't none. So what does this creative player do? He starts his own gang called Scoom Gang, right there in the country club area. Think about how wild that sounds, fam. You got dudes in polo shirts and khakis trying to be gangsters between tennis matches and book club meetings. That's some real make-believe type shit right there. But it gets even more goofy, gang. Mafiski decided he wanted to start beef with another group called Risky Road. Now, I don't know if Risky Road was actually about that life or if they was just another group of suburban kids playing dress up, but Mafiski felt like he needed to prove himself by going at them. Here's where the story gets really embarrassing though, no cap. Mafiski made a whole diss track about Risky Road, talking tough and probably saying all types of disrespectful stuff, but instead of actually dropping the song and standing behind his words, he just previewed it in his close friends on social media. That's some real scary behavior right there, playa. If you're gonna make a diss track, you gotta be ready to drop it and deal with whatever consequences come with it. But Mafiski wanted to talk tough without actually taking the risk that comes with that energy. Of course, somebody in his close friend's screen recorded the preview and sent it to a member of Risky Road. That's social media 101 fam. Anything you post can and will be screenshot, recorded, and shared. If you don't want something to get out, don't post it nowhere, not even in your close friends. When the Risky Road member confronted Mafiski about the diss track, this is where it gets really pathetic, gang. Instead of standing on what he said or even just admitting he made the song, Mafiski tried to play word games. He claimed he said risky instead of Risky Road, like that somehow made it better or less disrespectful. That's some real elementary school type excuse right there. No cap. That's like saying, I didn't call you stupid, I called you stupid. Everybody knows what you meant, and trying to play with words just makes you look more goofy than you already did. The whole situation shows that Mafiski wanted all the clout that comes with being a tough guy, but none of the responsibility or consequences. He wanted to make diss tracks, but not drop them. He wanted to start beef, but not finish it. He wanted to be seen as dangerous, but didn't want to actually be in danger. Real street dudes don't move like that, fam. When you say something, you stand on it. When you make a move, you see it through. When you start something, you finish it. But Mafiski was moving like somebody who watched too many gangster movies and thought he could just play the fun parts without dealing with the serious parts. The Country Club Hills environment probably made this whole situation even more ridiculous. Imagine trying to have a serious gang war in a neighborhood where people complain about noise after 9 p.m. and the biggest crime is somebody not picking up their dog's poop. That's some real comedy movie type shit right there. What makes Mafiski one of the most creative players on this list is how he tried to bring street culture to a place where it didn't belong, then couldn't even commit to the fake image he was trying to create. At least some of the other rappers on this list stuck to their stories even when they got exposed. But Mafiski folded under the first bit of pressure. The whole Mafiski situation represents that type of person who wants the respect and fear that comes with being street, but don't want to put in the work or take the risks that actually earn that respect. That's why he earned his spot at number 5, gang. When you start a gang in the suburbs, then try to use grammar technicalities to get out of beef, that's some next level creative player behavior. Tutti Raw. At number 4, we got Tutti Raw, aka Boozy's son. And when your pops is a multi-millionaire but you still choose the streets over millions, that's some backwards type shit, gang. This whole situation got layers to it that make it even more crazy. No cap. Let me break this down for you, fam. Tutti Raw grew up in a straight up $1 million mansion with access to everything he could ever want. We talking about the type of lifestyle where money ain't never been a problem, where you can buy whatever you want without checking the price tag. His daddy Boozy is a legendary rapper who made it out the struggle and built generational wealth for his family. Most kids who grow up in that type of privilege understand how blessed they are. They might take it for granted sometimes, but they usually don't actively choose to throw it all away. But Tutti Raw looked at all that luxury and said, nah, I want to live in the slums of Baton Rouge instead. That's some real ungrateful type behavior right there, playa. Boozy has been public about trying to keep his son out the streets, and you can understand why. Boozy actually lived that life. He knows how dangerous it is, how many friends he lost, how close he came to not making it out. So when you finally get your family to safety and your son wants to go back to the same dangers you escaped from, that gotta hurt your soul. But Tutti Raw wasn't just playing around in the streets for fun, gang. According to Boozy, his son was allegedly out there moving pounds of drugs and making $1,500 a day. Now, $1,500 might sound like good money to some people, but when your daddy is worth millions and you got access to legitimate opportunities, risking your freedom for that amount is just stupid. Think about the math, fam. Boozy probably spends more than $1,500 on dinner sometimes. The family probably got cars that cost more than what Tutti Raw was making in a whole month. So why risk everything for money that's basically pocket change to your family? That don't make no financial sense at all. The real issue ain't even about the money though. It's about respect and image. Tutti Raw probably felt like he needed to prove himself, like he couldn't just be Boozy's son his whole life. He wanted to earn his own stripes and show people he was about that life too. But there's other ways to prove yourself that don't involve risking your life and freedom. The situation got even more messy when Charleston White got involved. For those who don't know, Charleston White is this dude who be calling out rappers and exposing their business on social media. He apparently told on Tutti Raw about having a switch, which is a device that makes guns fully automatic and is super illegal. Last night, Tutti Raw got picked up and charged with having that switch, and fans immediately started blaming Charleston White for snitching.
I got Tutti Raw ass arrested within 2 hours of stepping foot on Atlanta soil. I told y'all I was gonna get him. I told y'all, say this, somebody gonna get my bag. Somebody gonna get my police bag.
But here's the thing, gang, if you really bout that life, you gotta move smarter than that. You can't be posting your illegal activities on social media, then get mad when somebody reports it to the police. The whole situation also reflects on Boosie's parenting, which ain't really fair, but it's the reality. Fans are questioning how he raised his son and wondering if he could have done something different to prevent this outcome. That gotta be painful for Boosie, because he probably did everything he could to give his son a better life than he had. But at some point, you can't control what your grown kids choose to do, no matter how much money you got or how much love you show them. Tutti Raw made his own decisions, and now he gotta deal with the consequences of those choices. What makes this situation even more frustrating is that Tutti Raw had every advantage you could ask for. He had money, connections, a famous father who could open doors, and the opportunity to do whatever he wanted with his life. He could have been a legitimate businessman, an artist, a producer, or anything else he wanted to be. Instead, he chose to risk all of that for street credibility that he didn't even need. The Boosie name already carries weight in the streets. He didn't need to prove nothing to nobody, but sometimes when you grow up privileged, you feel like you gotta earn respect the hard way to feel authentic. The timing of his arrest is crazy too, cause it happened right when Charleston White was going viral for calling out rappers and their families. So now Tutti Raw becomes another example that Charleston White can point to when he talks about rappers' kids being involved in illegal activities. Tutti Raw represents that type of person who had everything handed to them but still felt like they needed to prove themselves in the streets. That's why he earned his spot at number 4, Fam. When you got access to millions, but you still choose to risk your freedom for $1,500 a day, that's some real backwards priorities right there. Trench Baby, Polo G's brother. Coming in at number 3, we got Trench Baby, Polo G's little brother, and this lil bro really had access to everything and still chose to crash out. He was using his brother's name to set people up. That's some snake shit that got Polo G caught up in all kinds of mess. Let me paint this picture for you, gang. 6 years ago, Polo G moved his whole family out the hood and into a better situation. We talking about going from struggling in Chicago to having millions of dollars and living in luxury. That's the type of come up that most families only dream about. One person makes it big and brings everybody else with them. Polo G didn't just get rich and forget about his people either, fam. He made sure his family had access to whatever they wanted. Nice house, good food, expensive clothes, cars, jewelry. Basically everything that represents making it out the struggle his little brother had front row seats to the American dream playing out in real time. But somehow, all that luxury got boring for Trench Baby. He looked around at the mansion, the cars, the money, and decided he wanted to be a YN instead. That's some real backwards thinking right there, playa. Most people in the actual hood is trying to get out of that lifestyle, but Trench Baby chose to go back to it voluntarily. The crazy part is how he went about it though, gang. Instead of just making bad decisions on his own, Trench Baby started using Polo G's name and reputation to set people up. That's some real family betrayal type shit right there. Your brother works hard to build a legitimate career and reputation, and you out here destroying it for some quick money and street credibility.
You say I sound like Polo, woo woo. Alright, so why these labels calling my phone right now trying to sign me? Why my shit getting 500K views, all type of shit on one video? Come on, I get the nigga. I ain't gotta ride no nigga. How you gonna say I sound like a nigga? Look. He saying, oh, you sound like Polo, ooh, okay, boom. But you reacted to all my music, bumping your head to my shit. So you a fan. So you like my shit. You like when I sound like Polo, don't you?
According to DJ Academics, Trench Baby set up and robbed 10 different people in LA, and he was using his brother's name to make it happen. Think about how that works, fam. People probably trusted him or let their guard down because they knew he was related to Polo G. Then he used that trust to rob them. That's some real snake behavior. One of the most high-profile incidents was when he linked up with a streamer called Annoying TV and robbed him for $50,000. Now, Annoying TV probably thought he was just hanging out with Polo G's brother, maybe trying to network or create some content. Instead, he got set up and lost $50,000. That's somebody's whole year's salary gone because they trusted the wrong person. But the damage didn't stop with just the people Trench Baby was robbing, gang. His actions started affecting Polo G directly. The house was getting raided by police because of his little brother's activities. Imagine you working hard to build a legitimate career, and you can't even have peace in your own home because your family member is out here moving reckless. It gets worse though, Playa. Trench Baby's behavior even got Polo G caught up in gun charges. So now Polo G got to deal with legal problems that he didn't even create just because his brother was using his name and bringing heat to the family. That's the type of stress that can destroy relationships and careers. The whole situation shows how one person's bad decisions can affect an entire family, especially when you're famous. Polo G probably felt responsible for his brother's actions, even though he did everything he could to give him a better life. That guilt and stress gotta be overwhelming. No cap. Eventually, the situation reached its worst point when Trench Baby got charged with murder in LA. Now he's sitting in jail, waiting for trial, and his whole family gotta deal with the consequences of his choices. That's not just about money or reputation anymore. That's about somebody potentially spending their life in prison. The murder charge really shows how far Trench Baby fell from where he started. He went from living in a mansion with his successful brother to potentially facing life in prison for taking somebody's life. That's about as far as you can fall, and it all started with him getting bored of the good life. What makes this situation even more tragic is that Polo G probably blames himself for not being able to save his brother. When you make it out the hood and bring your family with you, you feel responsible for keeping them safe and on the right path. But sometimes people gotta make their own choices, even when those choices are terrible. The impact on Polo G's career can't be ignored either, gang. Every time his brother's name comes up in the news for something negative, it reflects on Polo G too. Fans start questioning his judgment, his family values, and whether he's really about the positive message he tries to promote in some of his music. Trench Baby represents the most extreme example of privilege being wasted. He had everything: money, opportunity, a successful brother who loved him, and a chance to build something positive. Instead, he chose violence and crime, and now he's facing the ultimate consequences. That's why he earned his spot at number 3, fam. When you got access to millions, but you still choose to crash out and drag your successful family member down with you, that's some real selfish and destructive behavior. The streets don't care about your privilege, and the law don't care about your brother's success when you out here committing crimes. OT7 Quanny. At number 2, we got OT7 Quanny, real name Jaquan Borneo Lee, and Shorty really said he's from the trenches but moved to a resort town at 10 years old, then tried to hide his pops being white. That's some real insecure type shit, fam. His own ops had to expose the truth, and that's when you know you really cooked your whole image, no cap. Let me break down this whole situation for you, gang. Quanny was born in Philadelphia in 1997, and for the first 10 years of his life, he was actually in the city. So technically, he can say he's from Philly. That part ain't a lie. But here's where the story gets interesting, Playa. When Quanny turned 10 years old, his family moved to Ocean City, New Jersey. Now, if you don't know about Ocean City, let me educate you real quick, fam. This place is known for its nice resorts, beautiful beaches, and family-friendly atmosphere. We talking about the type of place where people go on vacation to relax and have a good time. But here's the kicker. Ocean City has the lowest crime rate in all of New Jersey. That means it's literally one of the safest places you could possibly live in the whole state. So while Quanny out here claiming he's from the trenches of North Philly and acting like he's this savage who survived the streets, he actually spent most of his childhood and teenage years in what's basically a vacation destination. Think about how wild that is, gang. You got this dude rapping about being about that life and surviving in dangerous neighborhoods, but he was probably spending his summers on the beach, and his biggest worry was whether the boardwalk was gonna be crowded. That's some real creative player behavior right there. The contrast between his image and his reality is crazy too, no cap. North Philly got a reputation for being rough. Real YNs from there actually had to deal with violence, poverty, and struggle on a daily basis. But Quanny was living in a resort town where the biggest crime is probably somebody littering on the beach. What makes this even more goofy is that Quanny always gave off these big goofy vibes that people could sense, even before they knew his real background. Sometimes you can just tell when somebody trying too hard to be something they not. Real street dudes move different. They don't gotta constantly prove how tough they are because their actions already spoke for them.
When I said OT7 Quanny and he came back, hating ass, broke ass nigga, old ass nigga, yeah, I'm talking about Quill. Yeah, I love that. It's relevant. It sounds like Philadelphia. Don't come at me like cannabis. Hit you with 1,000 run. He said I hit you with 1,000 bolts of somersault to make you do another call. I'm from another world and another call. The echelon and upper echelon and decalon. Nigga, are you in Islandtown, Pottstown, or Milantown? You got it down and we got it now. I don't want to hear that.
But the story gets even more embarrassing, fam. Quanny got exposed by his own op, somebody called Quilly, for trying to hide the fact that his father is Caucasian. Now, there ain't nothing wrong with being mixed race. That's just genetics and you can't control who your parents are, but trying to hide it is some real weird behavior. The fact that he felt like he needed to hide his father's race shows how insecure Quanny was about his whole image. He probably thought that having a white father would make him seem less authentic to the streets, so he tried to keep it secret, but in the age of social media and public records, you can't hide that type of information forever.
YouTube just better be your biggest mainstream platform, YouTube and TikTok, cause your bitch ain't gonna never get on the radio that hating ass shit you said about Unc. You talking about, nigga.
When Quilly exposed him, it probably felt like the ultimate violation, gang. Getting called out by your own op is bad enough, but having your family background put on blast makes it even worse. That's the type of exposure that you can't really come back from, especially when you built your whole career on being something you're not. The whole situation shows how much pressure these fake gangster rappers put on themselves to maintain an image that ain't real. Quanny probably spent years worrying about people finding out the truth about his background when he could have just been honest from the beginning and built his career on something more authentic. What's really crazy is that Ocean City is actually a nice place to be from, fam. It's safe, it's beautiful, it's got opportunities. Most people would be proud to say they grew up there, but Quanny was so caught up in trying to be street that he saw his good upbringing as something to be ashamed of. The mixed race situation is even more ridiculous when you think about it, playa. Hip-hop has always been diverse, and some of the most respected rappers in history are mixed race. But Quanny felt like he needed to hide that part of his identity to fit into some narrow definition of what a street rapper should look like. His op Quilly probably knew about his background for years and was just waiting for the right moment to expose him. That's some real strategic warfare right there. Let your enemy build up this fake image, then tear it all down with the truth. That gotta hurt worse than any diss track. The whole OT7 Quanny situation represents that type of rapper who got so caught up in creating a false persona that they forgot who they really were. He had to constantly lie and hide parts of his life just to maintain an image that was never real to begin with. That's why he earned his spot at number 2, gang. When you claiming North Philly trenches, but you really from a resort town and you trying to hide your own father's race, that's some next level creative player behavior. The streets always expose the truth eventually, and Quanny learned that lesson the hard way. So there you have it, gang. These YNs really thought they could front their whole image and we wouldn't notice, but the streets always know the truth. No cap. Whether it's growing up in mansions, using daddy's money, or straight up lying about where they from, these rappers got cooked by reality. Fam. The real question is, why do these shorties feel like they gotta fake it? Maybe it's because authentic street stories sell records, or maybe they just want that respect that comes with surviving real struggle. But for real, homie, you can't buy street credibility and you definitely can't fake where you really came from. What makes this whole situation even more crazy is that most of these dudes had every advantage you could ask for. Good families, nice houses, opportunities that kids in the actual hood would kill for. But instead of appreciating those blessings, they chose to throw it all away, chasing an image that was never really theirs to begin with. The internet and social media made it impossible for these creative players to maintain their fake personas too, playa. In the old days, you might have been able to get away with lying about your background, but now everybody got cameras, everybody got access to public records, and somebody always knows somebody who knows the real story. Some of these cases is just embarrassing. like getting exposed by your own neighbor or having your op reveal your family secrets. But others, like Guero 10K, show how dangerous this fake gangster mentality can become when people start committing real crimes to prove they bout that life. The saddest part is how these choices affected their families. Parents who worked hard to give their kids better lives, watching them throw it all away for street credibility, brothers who made it out the hood, only to see their siblings choose to go back. That type of family drama can destroy relationships that took years to build. But maybe the most important lesson from all this is that authenticity always wins in the end, gang. Fans can tell the difference between real and fake. The streets always expose the truth, and trying to be something you not is way harder than just being yourself. These rappers could have built successful careers talking about their real experiences, growing up privileged, dealing with family expectations, trying to find their identity in a world that values struggle, that's relatable content that people would actually connect with, instead of these fake street stories that everybody can see through. What y'all think about these creative players? Drop your comments below and let me know which one surprised you the most. Did any of these stories change how you look at your favorite rappers? And make sure you do your own research on artists before you support them. The streets always know who's real and who's just playing dress up. Don't forget to subscribe for more real content that exposes the truth about your favorite rappers, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss when we drop more videos calling out fake behavior in hip-hop. Until next time, keep it 100, gang, and remember, you can't fake where you came from, no matter how hard you try. The streets don't lie, the internet don't forget, and real recognize real. These YNs learned that lesson the hard way, but hopefully their stories can help other people make better choices and appreciate the opportunities they already got instead of chasing somebody else's struggle. Stay authentic, stay blessed, and we'll see y'all in the next video, fam. Peace out, gang, and remember, no cap, for real, the truth always comes out eventually.